Wow. People are done with NaLyssa Smith. Traitor. Get her off the team. Adios amigos, as that guy said.
NaLyssa Smith, the star of the Indiana Fever, might actually be at the heart of the team's struggles. Hard to believe, right? You're probably thinking, wait, isn't she one of their top players? Well, get ready because we're about to dig into what's really happening with the Fever. So, what's going on with NaLyssa Smith? And why is her future with the team suddenly uncertain? We're about to dive into all the details causing a stir in the Fever's locker room. But here's the twist. It's not what you'd expect. The reasons behind this surprising situation are going to catch you off guard.
You know, I believe truly in my heart that connected teams are winning teams. And so people who fit, players who fit the culture of the Indiana Fever and where we are and where we're moving towards.
You know something's up when a new coach starts emphasizing culture and everyone embracing their roles, right? Well, that's exactly what happened when Stephanie White took over at the Indiana Fever. Let's go back to her first press conference. It was all smiles and big ambitions, but something didn't quite add up. White kept going on about building around a core group of 3, and it felt a bit off.
Caitlin Clark, a generational player, and Aaliyah Boston, certainly when you think about back-to-back Rookie of the Years and what each of those players have done up until this point for their universities in the game of basketball, for the women's basketball culture and community, it's unprecedented. And to be able to work with those guys and Kelsey Mitchell, who I think has weathered the storm of Indiana Fever basketball, and I felt like had the best year of her career, this year. And really, when you think about teams, you think about a core 3, right? You think about a big 3, and to be able to work with that big 3.
But wait a minute. Where does NaLyssa Smith fit into all of this? You'd expect a former number 2 overall pick to be front and center, right? But no, Smith's name didn't even come up. You might be thinking, maybe she just forgot to mention Smith. But let's be real, this is a player who was supposed to be the future of the franchise.
We want players that will fit in seamlessly with our core 3, which includes Kelsey Mitchell. We want players to fit in seamlessly with the core 3. We want players that will play a role and will embrace their role. And we want players that will fit in with the culture and the team.
The new coach kept emphasizing words like unity and commitment. Pretty subtle, right? It felt like she was sending a message without saying it outright. But White didn't stop there. She kept talking about what she wants in a player. She made a point of saying that success isn't just about individual talent. It's about a team's willingness to go to battle together every single day. Is it just me? Or does that sound like she's taking a direct shot at someone?
Because every single thing that she described wanting to build around Kelsey Mitchell, Caitlin Clark, and Aaliyah Boston is the opposite of what NaLyssa Smith is.
It gets even more interesting. White started outlining what she wants in her ideal player, and it was almost as if she was reading off an anti-NaLyssa checklist. She mentioned wanting players who can embrace their roles and fit in seamlessly with the core 3. Ouch, that's got to sting if you're Smith, right? Well, it's becoming pretty clear that White's vision for the Fever's future doesn't seem to include Smith. She's focused on building a team of players who are fully committed to each other and the franchise's long-term goals. And let's be honest, with all the drama surrounding Smith lately, it's tough to see how she fits into that picture.
To another level. You've got incredibly talented players right here in Caitlin and Aaliyah and Lexi, a team that was incredibly fun to watch, very tough to game plan against. So I'm glad I'm going to get to work with you guys, work with you ladies, instead of having to...
Shaq went on Angel Reese's podcast this week and shared his billion-dollar idea for the WNBA.
In the next few minutes, you'll witness the moment that rattled women's basketball to its foundation. We have Shaq, Angel Reese, and a whole lot of uncomfortable truths to unpack.
Bro, a pretty girl dunking on the rim, I'm watching that all the time. You laughing.
My man is not turned on by no woman that's dunking.
It ain't about being turned on. It's about seeing stuff that you're not supposed to see.
Here's what's ahead. We'll reveal the exact words from Shaq that made Angel uncomfortable, showcase the statistics that support his claims, and explain why this one conversation could potentially alter the future of the WNBA. Stay tuned, because this is going to be intriguing. Shaq just dropped a truth bomb that has the entire basketball world buzzing. We're talking about a 4-time NBA champion, a Hall of Famer, and a business mogul worth over $400 million. When Shaq talks, people pay attention, and he certainly had a lot to say about the WNBA. Picture this: Shaq sitting there, calm and collected, as he discusses ways to make the WNBA more exciting. His suggestion? Lower the rims. Let's roll the first clip.
And women's beach volleyball, let's just say the net is 10, but women is lower just a little bit. I'm not saying lower it to 9, 5, 9, 6, but just 9, 9.
Just so we can dunk?
Yes. No, see? And
I hate when men say that.
But listen, that's the only difference.
People always disrespect women regardless. They're always going to not give us the same value as a man. So I just don't even think that.
And that's why you got to do what you've been doing. Go take the
Yeah.
I'm telling you now, if you lower that thing to 9.
And what's going to happen? All right, tell me, the money going to go through the roof?
Yeah.
Not all the way down to the ground, of course, but just enough to change the game. He's suggesting lowering the rim to about 8 to 10 feet below the standard height. Why? So we can see some dunks naturally. You might think that doesn't sound too bad, but here's where it gets interesting. Sitting right across from Shaq, Angel Reese isn't on board with that idea. She fires back, making some compelling points about respecting women's basketball.
I feel like it still wouldn't be good enough. It's never good enough for a man. People always disrespect women regardless. They're always going to not give us the same value as a man. So I just don't even think that.
She then addressed the issue of people not tuning in to watch the game.
Yeah.
I'm telling you now, if you lower that thing to 9.
And what's going to happen? All right, tell me, the money going to go through the roof?
Yeah.
We don't even have the people don't even watch the game.
You can feel the tension rising as Angel contends that lowering the rim is outright disrespectful to female players. But Shaq wasn't finished. He delivered a real knockout punch.
We don't even have people don't even watch the game.
Because I don't want to use the B word. Unless it's certain people playing. It's like you're watching like a high school game.
He looked Angel in the eye and compared the WNBA to high school basketball. Yes, you heard that correctly. Shaq stated, and I quote, "It's like you're watching a high school game." Can you imagine the collective gasp from WNBA players everywhere? Let's break this down for a moment. Shaq, one of the most dominant players in NBA history, just suggested that the highest level of women's professional basketball is comparable to high school boys' games. That's not merely a critique. It's a full-blown slam dunk of criticism.
Shaq, he was trying to teach Angel Reese how to make the WNBA more entertaining. So people might actually watch the product. And Shaq is qualified to do so. During his NBA career, the dude was a brilliant marketer. He knew how to be entertaining while also being dominant on the court. There was a reason that every member of the media was waiting by Shaq's locker after games. They knew he would deliver the best sound bites. They knew he would give the most entertaining interview.
You might be curious about how this will unfold. On one side, there are people agreeing with Shaq, believing he's just voicing what many have been thinking. They argue that if the WNBA wants to attract more viewers and generate more excitement, then something needs to change.
Angel Reese, just because a man is criticizing your league, it does not mean he is disrespecting women. This is the entitlement I always talk about. Angel Reese and her colleagues in the WNBA, they have this false sense of entitlement that makes them believe that they are above being criticized. Anytime they are criticized, they want to play the victim. Men don't respect women. Oh yeah?
On the flip side, there's a large group of upset fans and players who believe Shaq's comments are disrespectful and outdated.
Finally, before we get to your questions, we have some news to announce.
Commissioner Kathy Engelberg, Commissioner of the WNBA, just announced that starting in 2025, the WNBA Finals format will change.
The WNBA just dropped a major surprise during the playoffs, and it's all about the Caitlin Clark effect. They're making some huge rule changes for 2025, but here's the big question. Is this too little, too late? Will these changes really make a difference? Clark's early exit from the playoffs left arenas half empty and tanked TV ratings. Now, the league's scrambling to patch things up. But will these new rules actually fix what's broken? Let's talk about Clark's impact. She didn't just play the game, she redefined it. With 62 records broken, packed arenas, and TV ratings hitting new highs, Clark and the Fever turned every game into a must-watch. Fans couldn't get enough.
Well, I knew the atmosphere was going to be electric when they announced Caitlin's name in the dark and the fans went crazy.
Here's the reality. The second Clark was out, everything started to fall apart. Ratings plummeted by 80%, and some games started looking like ghost towns, with empty sections covered up to avoid the bad look on live TV. Let's be real. Are you even shocked? Clark was practically carrying the league, and now she's off the court and on the golf course. Can the WNBA make it without its star player? These new rule changes better deliver? Because right now, things aren't looking great.
Staying with the WNBA playoffs, let's stay here. Let's just say the ratings aren't the same with Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever now eliminated. By the way, not only was viewership down, but attendance was as well.
The WNBA is definitely in panic mode, ready to do whatever it takes to turn things around. But here's the surprising part. These new rules aren't just minor adjustments, they represent a complete overhaul that could either save or sink the league. The big question is, will these changes be enough to fill the gap left by Caitlin Clark and boost their ratings? Or will the league keep slipping into irrelevance? Let's dive into these drastic measures. First off, they're extending the regular season from 40 to 44 games, with the introduction of a new team in 2025, the Golden State Valkyries. That means 4 more opportunities to catch your favorite team in action.
Getting to go to multiple arenas so that people that are watching at home can see this environment in a multitude of cities. It's amazing. I love it. The growth continues.
But that's not all. The finals are getting a makeover too. Starting in 2025, the WNBA finals will shift from a best-of-5 format to a best-of-7 series. This change aims to create a more intense and exciting championship showdown.
Starting in 2025, the WNBA finals format will change to a best-of-7 series.
Yes.
And the format will be 2-2-1-1-1.
It's clear that the league believes more games will lead to more fans and increased revenue. Plus, they're making changes to the first round of the playoffs as well. The format is shifting to a 1-1-1 setup, which guarantees the lower-seeded team one home game.
Say for the fans, it's a benefit for your team, has played well enough to get into the playoffs, so now that your fans will be able to see your team play at home during those playoffs.
Yeah.
Remember the Fever Sun series? The Indiana Fever couldn't return to play in front of their fans at Gainbridge because of all the drama in Games 1 and 2. It seems the league has finally realized that lower-seeded teams need to have the chance to play in front of their home crowd as well. Now, Commissioner Kathy Engelbert is trying to pitch these changes as if they're going to save the league, claiming it's all about balancing the schedule. But let's be honest, it feels more like a frantic effort to keep things running without their star player.
With the increased attention this year, there's also been increased scrutiny about the quality of refereeing. Curious if there has been any conversation about whether it's referee pay, referee training, anything to ensure that is as good as it can be.
Let's be honest for a moment. Are these changes truly tackling what fans care about? Sure, having more games looks good on paper, but what about the issues that really matter, like player safety and fair officiating? Those concerns seem to have been completely overlooked by Engelbert.
Yeah, and the one thing as a very long-term sports fan I know is that officiating and refereeing is always at the top of a fan's list, of the media's list.
A surprising figure has come forward to support Caitlin Clark. While she's been celebrated by many NBA greats, the response from the WNBA community has been mixed, often marked by envy instead of respect. It's an unusual dynamic that brings attention to the difference in how men's and women's basketball players view Clark's impressive rise. On the men's side, one of the first to openly back her was none other than Stephen Curry.
You can't help but watch when she plays, where she's shooting from, the range, the confidence, the flair, like she's a performer.
Curry, whose long-range shooting has transformed the NBA, sees a lot of his own style in Clark's game. In an interview, he shared that while her shooting range and style are clearly similar to his, focusing only on those aspects takes away from appreciating the rest of her game.
I saw somebody break down the release time, which is pretty much identical to mine.
Curry was quick to note that although Clark's shooting grabs the spotlight, her full skill set is what truly stands out. Her court vision, passing, and ability to consistently fill up the stat sheet show she's a well-rounded player.
It's crazy though, just because her shot it's like that, it's at that level. But if you really watch, like her floor game is as impressive, so it's kind of the total package.
He described her shooting ability as her superpower, but emphasized that it's her entire skill set that truly sets her apart. LeBron James, another NBA icon, shared a similar sentiment, voicing his admiration for everything Clark has achieved on the court.
Caitlin Clark is the reason why a lot of great things is going to happen for the WNBA. But for her individually, I don't think she should get involved on nothing that's being said. Just go, have fun, enjoy.
After watching Clark dominate the scoreboard in an NCAA tournament game, LeBron James couldn't help but see similarities between her and himself. Just as he did early in his career, Clark has often shouldered the responsibility of leading her team to victory, single-handedly shifting game momentum. In his words, Caitlin Clark is the kind of player who can take over a game, lifting her teammates while still excelling on her own. A high compliment from someone who knows all about carrying a team. But there's more to Clark than her skills on the court. Being from Indiana, specifically the Indianapolis area, her rise naturally draws comparisons to one of basketball's all-time legends, Larry Bird. In the 1980s, Bird was more than just a player. He was an icon, known for his relentless work ethic, gritty style, and fierce competitiveness. So it's no surprise that as Clark kept breaking records, comparisons to Bird's Indiana-rooted style of basketball brilliance began to emerge. And it wasn't just the hometown connection drawing attention. Magic Johnson, Bird's longtime rival, also spoke about Clark's impact, comparing her budding rivalry with Angel Reese to his own storied battles with Bird in the 1980s. Johnson pointed out that while rivalries can get intense, they also raise the level of the game and draw more fans to the sport.
We have to understand that both Caitlin, Angel, and Brink, who plays for my Sparks, they made the WNBA better. They're going to be tested by these incredible women who've been in the league for a long time. Caitlin is the most popular WNBA player, but she's not the best at this time. Just like Larry and I were not the best when we entered the league. We became the best later on by our play. Caitlin still has to play great to become the best WNBA player.
In Johnson's words, Caitlin and Angel have brought back that classic spirit of basketball, where everyone's eagerly watching to see what'll happen next. It's like Larry and me all over again, he said. And now, Larry Bird himself has finally spoken up about Clark. Though he's been mostly quiet on the topic until now, Bird recently offered her some advice as she faces rising criticism both on and off the court. He urged her to keep her focus, reminding her that while critics will always be around, they won't stick. What you're doing now, Bird told her, is going to be remembered forever. The people tearing you down? They'll fade away. Caitlin Clark's transition from the US to Europe is creating quite a buzz in the basketball world. Her choice to sign a lifetime contract with a European club has fans curious about what motivated such a bold decision, especially after her impressive rookie season. From deep three-pointers to record-breaking assists, Caitlin quickly emerged as a star in the WNBA. However, her journey in the league wasn't as smooth as it seemed. In interviews, Clark opened up about the challenges she faced both on and off the court. One of the toughest parts of her life as a professional athlete was the pressure to always be on. She mentioned that there are days when she simply doesn't want to engage with anyone. When someone comes up to you, that's their 10-second interaction with you. So you smile and try to be kind, but sometimes you just want to be normal, she shared. Caitlin's rookie season was physically demanding. She faced aggressive defense and often felt like she was targeted by opponents pushing the limits of fair play. Hard fouls and elbows became all too common, yet she kept her composure, accumulating assists and points while setting records despite the relentless pressure. Additionally, as a young white player in a predominantly black league, Clark encountered subtle but uncomfortable moments from both fans and fellow players. These factors weighed heavily on her and played a role in her decision to seek new opportunities overseas. In Europe, she saw not only a fresh start, but also a chance for personal and professional growth. Playing in a different league would provide new challenges without the constant scrutiny she experienced in the US media. While some critics argue that Clark's move might be premature, others view it as a calculated decision to prioritize her passion for the game without the distractions she faced at home. As Caitlin embarks on this new chapter, she leaves behind a complex legacy in the WNBA. Her talent and determination are undeniable. What are your thoughts on this?
This is a place where players can come and get better and be surrounded by an organization that supports you. They're going to have everything they need to be successful. So
the Indiana Fever are about to make a huge move in WNBA history. They're not just aiming for one star player, not even two. They're targeting 10 game-changing free agents who could make them serious title contenders. You might be wondering, how can they afford all that talent? Well, that's where you're mistaken. The Fever have a secret weapon, Kelly Krauskopf. She's back with the team this year, and she's got a bold vision. Kelly's not here to play it safe. She's here to get things done.
I know the free agent situation in the WNBA, but are you in a position where you can add some pieces?
yes, we are. We're definitely in a position. And I would think that if you are a smart basketball player and you watch the way she plays, you would want to play with her.
With her vast network and resources, Kelly is determined to make Indiana the hottest spot in the WNBA. Her strategy is bold, and it's already catching everyone's attention. You won't believe the plans she has in store to turn the Fever into a true powerhouse. You know that moment in a movie when the two main characters finally join forces, and you just know you're about to see something incredible? That's the vibe right now, because Caitlin Clark and Kelsey Mitchell are about to team up for the Indiana Fever.
Good thing for women's basketball. I'm playing alongside this kid, so it makes everything, a little bit more dramatic, and like the people are coming out to see this person. So we just do what we can. We embrace it. I'm pretty sure our organization can feed off of it.
Let's take a moment to focus on Kelsey Mitchell. Did you know she averaged 19.2 points per game last season? That's not just impressive. That's all-star caliber. And it's not like she had just a few good nights either. After the Olympic break, Mitchell went on a scoring spree, putting up 20 or more points in 7 straight games. Imagine trying to guard someone that reliable. Now, think about Mitchell teaming up with Caitlin Clark. We're talking about two of the top shooters in the game coming together. How are defenses supposed to handle that? Clark's college numbers are through the roof, and her knack for setting up her teammates is incredible. With Clark's playmaking skills and Mitchell's scoring, this could be the most exciting backcourt the WNBA has ever seen.
Because Kelsey Mitchell said basketball is a language and you have to get on the same page. Me and Caitlin like to play fast and up-tempo, and I'm always going to align based on how she's playing and how she's going.
Here's where things get really interesting. Kelsey Mitchell is a free agent right now. The Fever have to re-sign her, right? But at what price? We're talking about a player who has been the heart and soul of the team. Even the Fever's president said they wouldn't be where they are today without her. That kind of praise doesn't come cheap. So, let's break down what it might actually take to keep Mitchell in Indiana. Spoiler alert, it's a hefty sum. We're talking about a Supermax qualifying offer of around $250,000. That's a big investment, but can the Fever really afford to let Mitchell go?
Look, we're going to evaluate everything and have those types of discussions with her.
Here's the thing. It's not only about the money, it's about building a championship caliber team. That's where Caitlin Clark comes into play. Bringing her on board isn't just about her own skills. It's about how she can make everyone around her better, especially a scorer like Mitchell.
But all signs point to her returning, including her and Clark attending the Pacers and Grizzlies game.
You might be wondering if these two can really work together. Won't they end up competing for shots? But that's the best part. Clark isn't just a scorer. She's a true playmaker. And Mitchell has already proven she can thrive alongside other star guards. This isn't about two players battling for the spotlight. It's about two stars joining forces to create something that's even better than what they could achieve individually.
Kelsey Mitchell has been an all-star, but she had the stage, the bright lights, and everybody could see what kind of bucket getter she is. Plus, Caitlin draws the defense. Kelsey gets to go one-on-one and put her skill.
Angel Reese reveals the real reason behind Caitlin Clark's move to Europe. Angel Reese shuts down rumors, says Caitlin Clark's exit is a financial move. Angel Reese couldn't resist weighing in on Caitlin Clark's new European contract. Instead of letting it slide, she stepped in to set the record straight.
What the is that headline all about?
Yeah.
She is the worst basketball player.
In the WNBA, this is pretty unprecedented. Someone so set on stirring the pot. Reese, still tangled up in her own steroid controversy, took a jab at Clark, suggesting players are just in it for the money and using racial issues to gain sympathy.
People talk about Caitlin getting hate, but someone sat down and spent hours putting together an 8-minute video with interlude clips all to trash Angel. Why?
It's obvious Reese is targeting Clark here. The surprising part is that Caitlin has never said anything negative about Reese or any other black player. But today, I can't help but feel that some people don't really deserve the silent treatment.
Blah, blah, blah. From Angel Reese.
It's pretty clear that Caitlin Clark heading to Europe isn't just about exploring a new scene or picking up a different paycheck. It's more about escaping the toxic circus the WNBA has turned into. On the surface, the WNBA might seem like the perfect fit for a player like her, someone born to dominate, but in reality, it was becoming anything but ideal. Instead of just focusing on her game, she was constantly dodging scandals and skeptical looks like it was all part of the game plan.
Entitled players in the WNBA just can't seem to understand is, you get what you put in, and right now, you are getting exactly what you deserve.
And why? Because she chose to stay quiet while others tried to paint her as some kind of villain. Some of her own fellow athletes, along with a few media voices, went as far as to label her a racist. Honestly, where do they come up with this stuff? But Clark, always level-headed, didn't take the bait. She didn't waste her time responding to these absurd accusations. She just stayed focused on what really matters, basketball. Yet the drama surrounding her only kept growing, like a bad reality show storyline.
So I think it's really just the fans, her fans, the Iowa fans, now the Indiana fans.
Then Alyssa Thomas, clearly not interested in keeping the peace, decided to stir things up even more. She publicly blamed Clark for racist comments made by her fans. Yes, you read that correctly. Thomas somehow figured that Clark should be responsible for the words of random people in the stands.
I think in my 11-year career, I've never experienced the racial comments from the Indiana Fever fan base.
Ridiculous, right? This wasn't even about anything Clark did or said. Nope, Thomas seemed more interested in redirecting attention away from her own struggles. She bundled up her frustrations, jealousy, and whatever else was going on inside, wrapped it in an accusation, and tossed it right at Clark.
And then she had a press conference where she cried and everybody's so mean to me. Well, she's continued the stupidity. I mean, she cheered on her teammate as she shoved Caitlin Clark, knocked Caitlin Clark in the head, and a bunch of other stupid stuff.
The thing is, Caitlin didn't have to do anything wrong to end up as a target. The love she was getting from fans, her name popping up in every highlight reel and headline, that alone was enough to spark jealousy in the WNBA. And it wasn't just random trolls online, it was some of the very players she shared the court with. Instead of celebrating her success,
Caitlin Clark's golf debut just made me so upset with the WNBA because the LPGA just did everything that the WNBA should have been doing this season.
Caitlin Clark made waves in the world of women's sports, but this time, it wasn't on the basketball court. Her impressive debut at an LPGA Pro-Am event created quite a buzz, leaving both fans and critics amazed.
Now, from this event, I have only seen and heard of positive things. I didn't hear one thing about how her fans are toxic. I didn't hear one thing about there being too much spotlight on Caitlin Clark and it should have maybe been on the professional golfers that are there. We didn't hear any of that.
While the LPGA rolled out the red carpet for her, the WNBA's lack of response was impossible to ignore. What's really happening behind the scenes?
I honestly just got so triggered by Caitlin Clark's golf debut, and it is no fault of hers that I got upset. It is the fault of the WNBA because the LPGA just did everything.
Caitlin Clark is now a household name, not only for her WNBA success, but also for her unexpected performance in golf. Her appearance at the LPGA Pro-Am wasn't just a typical celebrity cameo, it turned into a nationally spotlighted event. Fans showed up in droves, pushing for the tournament to be broadcast. And when it finally aired, the LPGA struck gold. They didn't just include Caitlin, they made her the star of the entire event.
How this Pro-Am event originally wasn't even going to be televised, but there were so many fans who were emailing the organization saying, how can we watch Caitlin? Can we come to the event? Can you live stream it? All of these things. And it ended up being put on television.
Let's break it down. The LPGA didn't just get lucky with this opportunity, they planned it with precision. They paired Caitlin with Nelly Korda, the top-ranked golfer in the world. Think about it, one of the biggest stars in women's basketball teaming up with the best golfer around. That's not a coincidence. That's smart marketing. Photos of Caitlin and Nelly were all over social media, generating a buzz that reached well beyond golf fans. Basketball lovers, golf enthusiasts, and more were instantly hooked.
Fans were really excited about that. There was so much buzz online. She was trending on Twitter, all of the things. And the LPGA was promoting the crap out of this event. And they also did something really smart by pairing her up with their currently #1 golfer in the world.
Meanwhile, the WNBA, the league that shot Caitlin to stardom, remained completely silent. They didn't tweet, post, or make any mention of her golf success. Fans definitely noticed, and it raised a lot of questions. Why wasn't her own league celebrating such a huge moment? It felt like a major missed opportunity, especially after the LPGA showed just how much star power Caitlin could bring to another sport.
There are photos of Caitlin and Nelly literally everywhere, and the LPGA was so smart in doing this because they knew that there would be so many eyeballs on Caitlin. So if they put their #1 golfer, who is currently leading the sport and pushing the sport ahead, if they put her next to Caitlin for the entire event, that's just great. It's great for Nelly and it's great for everyone else.
It wasn't just the LPGA that jumped on Caitlin's star power. Media outlets were all over the story too. From SportsCenter to Bleacher Report, everyone covered her every move at the event, from her swings to her interactions with fans. Everything Caitlin did became headline news. The LPGA took full advantage of the spotlight, promoting not only Caitlin, but also showcasing their top golfers. It was a win-win situation. In contrast, the WNBA took a different approach. Throughout Caitlin's rookie season, many fans felt the league wasn't doing enough to promote her, despite her standout performances and the clear Caitlin Clark effect on viewership numbers. The league seemed hesitant to fully embrace her rising fame. Critics argued that the WNBA was trying too hard to evenly distribute attention, even when it was obvious Caitlin was the main draw. This reluctance was even more noticeable during the LPGA Pro-Am. While the LPGA leaned into Caitlin's popularity, the WNBA's silence was glaring. Fans didn't hold back, taking to social media to share their frustrations. Many pointed out that this was exactly what they'd been saying all season. The WNBA wasn't doing enough to leverage Caitlyn's popularity, so why would the WNBA hold back? Some say the league is cautious about focusing too much on one player, fearing it might overshadow others or stir up tension within the league. Others think it's a missed opportunity tied to outdated marketing tactics. Whatever the reason, the difference between the LPGA's strategy and the WNBA, the portrayal of black women in the league, is an ongoing conversation. Many, including A'ja Wilson, Angel Reese, Cheryl Swoops, and others, seem to view Caitlin Clark as a major issue in the WNBA, at least according to the league discussions. But is this truly the case? Or could it be more about rivalry and resentment? Some recent developments might make us rethink the situation. Last week, A'ja Wilson brought up the topic of white privilege while speaking with Kelsey Plum. Now, Wilson and Angel Reese are both featured on the cover of the Wall Street Journal's magazine. Yet surprisingly, there's no mention of Caitlin Clark. In 2024, with all that's happening, isn't it worth exploring this from Caitlin Clark's perspective too? Imagine this. Even if you're the first rookie since 2008 to make the WNBA's first team, break over 50 records in one season, and win Rookie of the Year, you're still not acknowledged in one of the league's largest media spreads to date. This seems puzzling, especially if Clark's success is arguably central to the article's theme. The situation is further complicated by online tensions. Caitlin Clark is often cast in a negative light, made to seem difficult and unlikable, even while dealing with online harassment from an account managed by A'ja Wilson's friend. And yet, both Wilson and Reese continue to fuel controversy, even accusing each other of unfair treatment and, at times, directing this frustration toward Caitlin Clark. This leaves us wondering, is this really the behavior we expect from an MVP or Rookie of the Year? This situation honestly feels like a case of bullying. It's the peak of first world issues, showing a lack of responsibility and, frankly, Angel Reese's lack of consideration. Watching this unfold is mind-boggling. You're right, it's easy to see how she comes across if you have even a bit of self-awareness. Honestly, if I were another WNBA player without Caitlin Clark's visibility, she wouldn't be my concern. She isn't the problem here. More people are starting to catch on. Caitlin Clark was never the issue. Her critics were the ones using her name for attention whenever things didn't go their way. Those same athletes, analysts, and experts quickly make noise when they feel slighted, then claim Caitlin Clark is the root of it all. But here's the truth. The issue might actually be Angel and A'ja, not Caitlin. It's worth asking, who's really harming the league's reputation? Angel Reese or Caitlin Clark? Because, once again, it's Reese's unlikability that seems to be hurting the league's image. Caitlin, on the other hand, is generally well-liked and doesn't flaunt privilege or entitlement as if she's something special. People from all backgrounds are beginning to notice this. You made a great point. Caitlin Clark is helping drive the league's success and bring in money, while Angel Reese's behavior might be doing the opposite. The WNBA doesn't seem to be catching on, but the fans certainly are. Yet, we're still being told to embrace both Angel and A'ja as league icons. But do they even realize who they're trying to promote? I get it. A'ja Wilson is undoubtedly one of the greatest players, a true icon who will likely be in the Hall of Fame. Her stats alone speak to her greatness, and that's worthy of respect. But as I look deeper into this and see more of her behavior, I can't ignore a hard truth. She's becoming more and more unlikable. That's what stands out to me now.